Eines Finals auf der Pro Tour hat einen ziemlich neuen Spitznamen, the Mouth of the South. Herzlich willkommen, Richard North.
Lights. He just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else, alone, in spite of the fact that some people still think that they know him, but fuck him, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure his click stays up. That means when he puts it down, Tuck's picking it up. Let's go ahead and see anyway. You never really talk much, never concerned with status, but still leaving his thoughts straight.
Ladies and Gentlemen, ein toller Moment hier in der Maimarkthalle von Mannheim. Es wartet die Nummer 1 der Welt, der Mann, der alleine in 2017 schon 13 Turniere gewinnen konnte. Er ist der aktuelle Premier League Champion. Er ist der aktuelle Weltmeister. Schön, dass er hier in Mannheim mit dabei ist. Herzlich willkommen, MVG, Mighty Mike, Michael van Gerwen.
There were questions last weekend when the world #1 returned to competitive action after taking a break for a month, the longest break he's had from competitive darts, well, for a number of years. Becoming a dad for the first time off the back of that heavy defeat to Phil Taylor at the quarterfinals of the World Match Play, losing the title he'd held at the Winter Gardens. There were questions about whether he would return with the same hunger and desire and ridiculously high levels of skill that we'd seen from him in the months and weeks and indeed years prior to taking that break to become Daddy Van Gerwen. And he answered them emphatically in Maastricht last weekend as he romped towards the Dutch Darts Masters title. That was his 4th Euro Tour of the year and his 18th in total. MVG is back and looking to make it 5 for the year and 19 for his career. And he starts his campaign against Richard North tonight. The world #1 and top seed for the Happy Bet German Darts Grand Prix, throwing first against Richard North. I'm Dan Dawson, Chris Murphy alongside me.
Yes, Michael van Gerwen looking to move ahead of Peter Wright on the Roll of Honour this year. Wright dominated the early part of the European Tour in 2017, but has just been beaten by Ronnie Huybrechts. And MVG is level on Euro Tour titles for this season, looking to make it 5 here in Mannheim. Michael Smith, the only other man to hold one this year, is coming up later on against Jamie Lewis. But Richard North is trying desperately to secure his place at the World Grand Prix.
He's in as things stand. But Ronnie Huybrechts winning, and Vincent van der Voort still being in the tournament, and a few others who could go on and win it, could make things a bit nervy.
Well, he was... just before he came, he was talking to a few other players, asking what he needed to do to secure his place, and Darren Webster just offered beat Michael van Gerwen.
Well, simple enough.
Sound advice. One of those things that might be easier said than done, however.
I'm pretty confident it is far easier said than done, because MVG's just kicked off with a 13-darter to hold his throw. Richard North has not faced the best player in the world in his fledgling pro darts career.
But he has beaten some of the best players in the world this year.
He has.
96.
Beaten a number of them. Wasn't very far away from claiming a first PDC title a few weeks ago on the Pro Tour. Only edged out in a deciding leg by Dave Chisnell.
Yep, it's been a very, very impressive debut season from the mouth of the South.
But it always used to be said that until you've had a hiding off Phil the Power Taylor, you ain't a real professional dart player. And Richard North comes up against Michael van Gerwen for the first time. And MVG looks in the mood to take him to school in the early stages here.
59.
Well, 1-2-5, a sure piece shot. Treble 20, double top.
105.
I was surprised he missed then, Dan.
As was I, but he will return looking at double 10 for back-to-back 13 darters.
65.
And that doesn't help Richard North, although he is down to a finish.
Game shown the second leg.
Well, it's a 14 darter, so if it's any comfort for Northie, he's getting worse.
Yeah, probably, if he carries on getting worse at the same rate, he'll probably get a 4 or 5-0 lead. Then Richard North will storm back to victory.
Wow. Nailed on.
But worryingly, Paul Nicholson has said that Richard North said to him earlier today that I'll either beat him 6-0 or get beat 6-0.
Well, option 1 is no longer on the table for the mouth of the South, Richard North. What are you doing? He asks. Well,
Michael van Gerwen will see that because it was right in front of his face. Not that he needs any extra motivation to hit these huge scores.
no, but he will love it as well, won't he? He will absolutely love it. Oh my word, nothing is going right for Richard North.
60.
Well, you stuck 2 in the floor. Unfortunately, you don't get any points for that.
Not sure how many points he would have scored had they stayed in where they entered the board. But Michael van Gerwen on the brink of a 3-0 lead and halfway to the finish line already. 69 required. Loads of time to do it. But he won't mess about.
Game shown.
Get it done now.
Richard the front first. Game on.
Well, Richard North, were it not for Rob Cross having a sensational debut season, I think people would be talking about Richard North a lot more because he's been excellent. And he's shown that he is a very capable dart player who could have a future in the professional game. And just making the Grand Prix in your debut year is one heck of an achievement. And he is set to do that as things stand.
Fantastic. Especially without winning a tournament.
Yeah. Obviously came close in that Pro Tour. But he'd been suggesting that he could do it. He registered some decent wins, had some runs.
Well, to have got to the World Grand Prix without winning a tournament suggests a level of consistency of getting to the latter end of Pro Tour events.
And I think his head might be scrambled a bit, Richard North, because even though this is the best leg that he's had in this match, he's hit a ton 40 till you've won 6-2, which you should never do.
Yeah, especially when Michael van Gerwen's been able to leave a finish.
Yeah, and 170 doesn't seem quite so big when it's that man there at the Oki, does it?
It is big.
Oh, it's the biggest of the lot. Too big in the end.
This 41 will seem huge to Richard North. Can he stop the rocks? Double top. For the Hampshire man, too high.
One score. Michael, you require 112. Game shown on the full flag.
This may not last very long. A 13 darter, a 14 darter, back-to-back 15s for MVG. This is just what the world number one does, and Richard North is becoming acutely aware of that right now. The winner of this one will take on Gerwen Price, the Iceman, who came through a battle with Krzysztof Ratajski this afternoon. And right now there's only one winner of this.
The Gerwen Derby in
Indeed.
prospect.
Well, that visit suggested to me that Richard North feels this game may have already slipped out of his grasp, because there is almost 40 points, well, 35 points in the averages.
Van Gerwen will go for the bullseye if he gives himself the opportunity. I can assure you of that.
You're promising me.
We're about
Murphy
to find
promised.
out.
Oh, we'll never know.
124.
We will not know whether Chris Murphy is a man of his word or not.
But he does see a responsibility and a duty to entertain, doesn't he, Michael Van Gerwen? He knows what it's all about, being the world number one and the main man in world darts.
And he's also a numbers man. He likes throwing big averages and getting it done a dart sooner. He comes to these European tours because he sees the money as his. And last weekend at the Dutch Darts Masters, he won every single game, bar one, absolutely convincingly. It didn't matter what people threw at him. The final, Steve Beaton averaged 98, he got done 6-1. Michael Smith averaged 104 in the semis, he got done 6-2. Kyle Anderson, 101 average, got done 6-1. Jeffrey Desarmes was dispatched 6-1 in his opener. And the only man who got close was Daryl Gurney. Went all the way to a last leg decider, and what did MVG do? He pulled out a 12-dart leg to win it 6-5. Once again, 104 average for Michael Van Gerwen.
Well, the highest average today was Joe Cullen down at 108.3.
We are surpassing that right now for Michael Van Gerwen. He is on an 11-darter. He is averaging in the 100 and teens. Michael Van Gerwen announced that he was back and firing on all cylinders last weekend in claiming the Dutch Darts Masters for a 4th straight year. And he has rampaged past Richard North tonight with 111 average. Richard North, welcome to life as a pro dart player. It has been a fantastic debut season from him so far, and I'm sure there's more to come from the mouth of the South. We may well see him in Dublin, but I promised you we're seeing that man in Dublin, and we'll see him tomorrow as the world number one goes through to round 3 to face Gerwen Price and carries 111 tournament average with him. 3 more games tonight. Daryl Gurney, Michael Smith and Simon Whitlock, the number 6, 5 and 4 seeds respectively. Can they get near to the level of display that MVG has just produced on this stage in Mannheim to open his campaign at the Happy Bet German Darts Grand Prix?
Michael, congratulations. Anything to complain? No.
You always need to be critical to yourself. I had 2 legs where I started off really well, and I had some 55, 57s, 59s. But for the rest, it went quite well, and that's what I like. That's what I like to do for everyone, for myself, but also for all my fans.
What do you think? What was your average?
112, 113?
111. Only 111. Bad. How's life as a father? There's a new one at the Van Gerwen's house.
Yeah, my little daughter Zoe Van Gerwen. Yeah, fantastic. It's been a great last month. I really enjoyed myself, and you also could see it in my game last week. I already played really well in Maastricht, and I hope I can continue the good form. And I got the spirit, I got the good motivation at the moment, and my home gives me a lot of energy, and that's also important.
Is it more difficult to travel, to be away from her?
It's part of my job, simple as that. And I always said it before, I'm a professional darts player. I'm number one in the world, and I want to keep it number 1 in the world. And the only thing what I did is miss the Pacific tournaments, Australia, New Zealand. because my daughter was born, and she's the only thing that counts. But close seconds after is the darts, of course.
So great to have you here. Great performance tonight. Thank you very much. Michael van Gerwen. Der Mann lebt und atmet Darts. Er freut sich, dass er wieder zurück ist, hat rund einen Monat lang pausiert. Zoe ist auf der Welt und er sagt, Mensch, das ist mein Leben. Dartprofi, dazu gehört auch die Reiserei. Aber viel gute Energie kommt da von zu Hause.